Hey, what's going on, everyone? In this video, I want to talk about the 1.5 books that I finished for March of the Mammoths over the past month of March. This was a reading event where a lot of people were trying to read Mammoth books, which, according to BookTube and the challenge, are books that are 800 pages or longer. I still gotta do my video talking about all the books that I have that are 800 pages or longer. I know I said I was gonna do that. It's on the to-do list, I guess. It's on the video list. But let's just go ahead and get started. So the one that I read halfway through, I'm about halfway through. I think over the course of March, I got to like 45% roughly. We got The Soviet Century, Archaeology of a Lost World by Carl Schogel. And this was the one that was voted on by you guys for me to read. So I'm definitely going to be finishing it here in April. But I've actually been learning quite a bit. I don't know anything about I guess social history of regular people under the Soviet Union. Pretty much the only thing I can remember ever reading about is the brain drain and stuff like that. But yeah, I've definitely been learning a lot, and it's actually surprisingly, even though this book is a little bit bigger. Actually, I want to say this one's in the 900. No, I guess it is only in the 800s. It looks a lot bigger, but this is reading a lot faster than the one I'm going to show you in just a minute. I think it's partly because the font is actually a normal size font, and the I guess the gutters and margins and stuff are actually pretty normal, so it's really easy to read, if that makes sense. It feels like you're actually going along at a clip. And there's actually quite a few photographs too. Some are half page and some are full page ones and stuff. So it's actually kind of interesting. The only thing that's really slowing me down is all the acronyms for different government agencies under the Soviet Union. There's a lot. There is a lot, but he does have a giant index and thing like that to kind of read through to kind of catch up on it and stuff, so you know what the acronyms is if you forget and stuff, so you don't have to go find it again. But like I said, definitely learning a lot. Lots of different, totally different chapters on all kinds of things. Some of the interesting ones were on there's one little short one on how everything was wrapped under the Soviet Union, and people would keep that paper to use for burning, rewrapping other things and stuff, and it was sort of a ubiquitous thing apparently under the Soviets, and it was just a really weird concept for me. But yeah, just really interesting. How the forced apartment complexes, you had to live with randos that you didn't know and stuff, and have to find ways to make it work. I love how there's a good balance between some rural stuff as well as urban stuff. And the Moscow kitchen chapter was really cool, where you'd have dissidents and kind of intellectuals on all different topics kind of get together in these apartment complexes around the kitchen and stuff. Like I said, I still got about half the book to go, but I'm learning a ton. I'm really enjoying it a lot more than I'm not gonna lie, I was a little nervous going to read this. Like I said, I don't read a lot of modern histories, so I was trying to push myself with this one and the other Mammoth here. And yeah, I do feel it's definitely worthwhile. So if you're interested in Russia or the Soviet Union, anything like that, I think this one will be a really good book to have and to read. Like I said, you'll learn a lot, and I feel you'll get kind of a good sense of accomplishment. I'm starting to feel I'm getting the vibe of what it was like under Soviet rule. Not that I would ever actually, you'll never know unless you were there or living under it yourself. But I think this is about as good as you're going to get as far as from just reading about it from a literary perspective. So yeah, really, like I said, really enjoyable, and it reads a lot faster. It goes at a pretty steady clip once you get going. All right, so the one I did read here, which I thought was going to be a little bit faster because it looked a little bit smaller. It's about the same page. It's actually a tiny bit less page count. I want to say this one's only just over, I think it's 805 or something like that. 817, 819 with the notes. But anyways, we got The Pursuit of Power, Europe 1815 to 1914 by Richard Evans. However, the font is a lot smaller, I think, in this one, and I think the margins are a little bit less. So I feel this one definitely just took a lot. It was a slog, but a good slog, I guess, if that makes sense. I would say this one's not for the faint of heart, just as far as all the names. If you're really interested in European history, which I am, up to the middle, ancient, classical, and medieval. I don't know that much about 17, 1800s. This is all about the long 19th century here. Yeah, like I said, just a lot of names that like I like were like some of them I didn't know, and some were just kind of like cobwebs, like up in my my head just from like other like classes or history classes from like high school or college or something like that. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of figures and a lot of events that I feel like I gotta like read specifically on. Notably maybe like Cavour and Garibaldi's unification of Italy, super interesting. I want to do like a deeper dive on that. The figure of Metternich as a like just like the European statesman, like just par excellence of like kind of the mid 1800s, was really cool. Definitely want to read maybe like a biography of him. So if you got recommendations for any of these, like leave some links down or comments down below. I'm trying to think some other ones. Napoleon the Third wasn't as dumb and bad as I was like expecting. I just remember he always was just like kind of a goofy foil, like every time I've read him in like other things. But well, he definitely had like a ton of flaws, and they're highlighted in the book. Like there was a lot of things he did that were actually pretty smart for like what he wanted to achieve and stuff. And I feel like I almost need to read like a biography of him or some sort of life and times thing of him, just to see like kind of even a fuller picture. Another thing, random. I don't know, I'm just like picking up random things I gotta read more on. Bismarck actually being somewhat progressive was like a change, pushing through like social reforms, to get ahead of like the opposing party. He kind of like undermined them by being like actually progressive with certain things. I didn't know anything about that. And then a couple like kind of technological stuff, like just like the spread of the railroads, telecommunications with telegrams and stuff, electricity, everything like that. I feel like a good book on like the whole 1800s in that kind of sense, I think would be really fun too. Like I said, I've read stuff like that before, but not specifically on those topics. I really enjoyed how I was nervous at first. The first like it's broken into, I think, if I remember correctly, 8 major sections, and then each section has like 10 sub chapters. After the first big section, it was all like just political history, political nitpicking and stuff. And I was not gonna lie, I was nervous. But then you had like 20 sub chapters of essentially social histories and stuff, which I really enjoyed. I was afraid it was just all gonna be kind of just political and military maneuvering and stuff. But lots of a good balance between social. Actually, if anything, I think there's probably a little bit more social history than kind of like grade narrative politicking and stuff. So I actually really enjoyed that. I'm not actually sure who the audience of this book is though. It is a lot for, like I said, for someone like Brad new to it. Maybe if you like read it more slowly, whereas I tried to push through it pretty fast for March of the Mammoths. I think that might have been probably maybe one of the downsides. It's just there is a lot of events. There's a lot to cover. He covers a lot of stuff pretty good, and it's just names and dates and a lot of good quotes. So I will say he did use primary sources really fun throughout the book and everything. But I do feel like my knowledge of the long 19th century is quite a bit more filled in. So I feel like the book definitely achieves its goal. I'm not sure if you're super well versed in this time period, if you're going to get a lot out of it per se, unless you want to like kind of look at the overview kind of big picture thing kind of going on. But yeah, you will learn a lot, and I think you'll feel proud you'll feel proud of yourself once you finish it. I know I did. Like I said, it was more misleading than I was expecting, just because of like the font size or something, or maybe it was just I was reading slower because I didn't know like all the names and had to like look a few of them up and stuff like that. But there you have it. Those were the 1.5 books that I finished in the month of March for March of the Mammoths. Let me know if you participated and which title you read or started to read in March. I'm always on the lookout for, I guess, even bigger books. Like I said, I wanted to push myself with kind of 2 books that I don't read on, anything usually after like the Renaissance. I generally don't read that much on history and stuff. So I wanted to push myself a little bit there, and I'm kind of glad I did, because I do feel like it's covered, that one definitely covered a lot of bases from things I didn't, like I said, it was just real dusty and cobwebby in my head there on a few of those topics. And then like the Soviet century one, I'm learning all kinds of new stuff. So yeah, like I said, let me know if you participated in that readathon, what the titles were, or another big book that you have on your shelves that you're going to get to at some point in time in the near future. And always remember, whether you're reading 800-page plus books or not, read victoriously.